Hey, welcome to the DB channel. I recently made a poll for you all to vote for the deck of choice for my upcoming locals on the 18th December 2021. 55% of you were eager to see how MaloMyotismon were to perform in the tournament scene. True to my words, I brought it to my locals and were able to fight against interesting matchups. One of them will be the 3 Musketeers, which we will be witnessing today. BO3 was released way back in BT6, and the man piloting the 3 Musketeers is a true fan. He has managed to blink whatever is possible and have been true to playing 3 Musketeers ever since. He adapts to the meta in each set, and we shall see how he adapts to the MaloMyotismon. Without further ado, let's dive right into the game itself, as we actually do already see the Icemon being pushed out, which is the number one support for 3 Musketeers in my opinion, because it does really help to fill up that drop zone quickly, reducing the cost of the Build-Summon, and of course doing Icemon things. In this case, the Icemon will be coming out, and that's use MaloMyotismon's skill to actually draw one, discarding a Trump Sword, because against MaloMyotismon it's not that great. It's going to evolve the promote on the Icemon body to actually further swing, and the idea of his deck is actually to really bring out the aggressiveness of purple in the early game, and then using Build-Summon as a late game card, because as soon as the game reaches the late game, you can actually have 0 cost or 1 cost Build-Summon, which is very strong, especially the new bone play and other options. And of course, he does play the Chimeramon to really further abuse the Icemon bodies. Now I'm gonna hardcore my own Icemon and using the Pendulum Flame to actually kill off the Gazimon, and using the Scatter Mode effect to draw 3, discarding 2. I do hit into my 2 Icemon, but if you guys can see, I'm still missing my rookie, which is very unfortunate, I would say, and I do hardcore the Scatter Mode to pass the turn. So definitely I'm on the losing end now, because I do have 5 security to work against, and I do have only 3 security to work with, and he's slowly pushing the aggression. He does it into a Pendulum Flame, which is a very nice trick in my opinion, because he does actually use the Scatter Mode to swing last, and he have wisely told me that if you want to use your Scatter Mode more effectively, you do always want to swing last, because opponent will have a tougher decision to deal with it. So that's something very important to take note of when you are playing Icemon. So he does use the Analog Boy to actually pick up the Icemon to hand, discarding a 2 Chimeramon to drop zone, and of course he definitely have 1 Chimeramon in the hand to start things off, and I do finally draw into my Gazimon. I'm going to use the Scatter Mode to actually swing at the Build-Summon, because I'm very worried about the security he does have. So I'm going to use the draw 3, discarding 2 here, thus discard the Icemon, filling up the drop zone with the MaloMyotismon. I'll be swinging at the Icemon with 11k DP thanks to 3 Scatter Mode being in the drop zone already. I'm going to evolve to the Myotismon for 2 costs, and then playing the Yukio Tamer. So to prevent him from actually clearing the Myotismon with much ease, he's going to push out the Government and evolve to the Scatter Mode once again. And I must say, Scatter Mode is doing so much work in terms of aggression, and as well, of course, filling up that drop zone. We do review 3 Ogremon through the Analog Boy, which is very unfortunate, as he's actually going to evolve to the Skull Greymon because it's a level 5, and he does have 3 Analog Boy to abuse with, which is pretty annoying for me, in my opinion. I'm going to swing the Myotismon at the Skull Greymon, because I do have to deal with his bodies, because I do have only 1 security left, but Analog Boy will activate, pushing him to 0 memory, basically making me lose 3 memory in that one swing. But I do activate my own Analog Boy and Yukio to actually gain back that 3 memory, so nothing really happened, which is very bad in my opinion, because I do want to have that memory gain, but he does make me lose my memory through his own Analog Boy. That's discard 2 in this case. One of them will be the option, and actually one of them will be the Icemon, so I do have to deal with the body once again. I'll be seeing the Gazimon first, and unfortunately hitting to a Death Claw, which does kill off my Icemon. And I must say, Build-Summon is such a tough matchup to play against, because it does have the aggression, the late game, and of course the annoying options in his security. I'm gonna hardcore the Ogremon to actually deal with the Icemon there nicely, I would say, because he doesn't have any Digimon in the rookie, in the nursery, sorry. So he's gonna evolve the Gabumon here, and of course evolving to the last Scatter Mode, I believe, in his deck, which I must say is very strong. He's gonna hardcore the Drugmon there to pick up a 1 cost option here. In this case, he does pick up the Death Claw, adding it to hand so that he can actually proc the Icemon in the next turn. Now, due to the end of turn effect of Yukio, I do actually spawn out the MaloMyotismon, but unfortunately I do have 5 Myotismon in the drop zone, which is very unfortunate, so I'm not able to discard the security and actually go for game in this same turn. So very close, I would say, but you know, it is the unfortunate thing about this deck, because it does have to somehow high roll in terms of the drop count. I'm gonna start throwing bodies at the security here, and most of them will actually be Digimons, so which is actually pretty lucky for myself. 2 Gabumons actually in the security, The Gazimo will do the last swing, hitting to another Buildstarmon, so there's actually 2 Buildstarmon in the security there, so that's very bad for him, I would say. But we don't have that one last swing. I'm going to attempt to memory choke him here with the Pendulum Flame play and using Yukio to gain 1 memory, and we shall see how the turn will go, given that I do have only 1 security left against that 1 Ice one. So you guys gonna see the lead trait he does play in the deck. Should be using Scatter Mode to swing at security first, using a draw 1 to discard 1. And in this case, he does discard the Ice one first because he has to be worried about the Pendulum Flame, and he does hit into a Gabumon, and he's gonna use a Death Claw instead to kill the Ice one, which is a neat play, which he does pick up the through the Drakmon in the previous turn, discarding that 2 Icemon in his hand. And of course, with 2 level 4 on the field, you do know what's coming up. Of course, the legendary Chimeramon, which does have basically Rush, and does end the game for game 1. We're going to move on to game 2 here. I'm going to evolve the Gabumon in the nursery, which is very fortunate because I do miss out my rookie in the first few turns, and having rookies to start things off is very important, especially for decks like MaloMyotismon, which you do really want to set up the drop zone as soon as possible. Yeah, he does miss his Icemon here, but he does hardcore a Gabumon and basically gonna hint a rookie rush scenario. I'm gonna evolve to the Malotismon here to hopefully luck sack that Tamer. I don't actually did it, so just gonna be a blind Mewtwo there. He's gonna push out the Gabumon and start swinging at security. He does successfully deal damage there, drawing 1 thanks to that Demimeramon, discarding that Newbone. And we swing again with the Gabumon, so effectively 2 damage has been done, and it's going to hardcore another Gabumon. So I'm getting Rookie Rush here, or I would say Gabumon Rush, and because MaloMyotismon doesn't really have a, I would say, defensive option, I do have to use Ogremon in the deck to actually deal with the board. In general, MaloMyotismon decks is actually quite like a sitting duck, waiting for things to happen, especially in setting up the drop zone. And if opponent is quite fast, in this case it's just a Buildstarmon deck with just 3 rookies being hardcore there. I'm already feeling the pressure, so can you imagine if decks are actually designed to be more aggressive, I will actually be struggling quite a lot. So I do really need the Ogremon. I feel that it's a very good tag in the deck, especially when it's a level 4 body which you can follow up with to evolving to a level 5 body. We do push out the Gabumon here. I'm going to evolve to the Malotismon here on the Ogremon body, which I mentioned earlier, discarding 2 from the top deck, and then playing the Tamer, of course, from the drop zone. And then evolving to the Icemon Scatter Mode to actually start filling up that drop zone, I would say, swinging the security, and does hit into a Trump Sword. So, like I mentioned earlier, you do always want to have your Scatter Mode swinging last because you do want to make your opponent choose whether they want to proc the Icemon or not. And I do use the Retrieve from Darkness here, which I think is a very odd tag, I would say. It was a late night thought. I do decide to include it because I do want to start destroying my own Digimon to hardcore a Malotismon from the drop zone. To an extent, I would say that card does have potential, but it doesn't deal with the opponent's board, which is a main concern because purple decks generally don't have any healing or recovery mechanics. And if opponent does have aggression, such as a simple case of Rookie Rush, you do really struggle already. So that option does do its neat trick, but it's not enough. But we do of course have the MaloMyotismon active here through the Yukio Tamer, destroying the Icemon, which he does purposely evolve it because he does know he's gonna proc the Gabumon as well as Demimeramon skill to further do the progress in his field. In this case, he does discard the Skullgreymon and of course putting the Skullgreymon on top of the Buildstarmon, and the Buildstarmon suddenly does have Vengeance. Of course, he does display because he wants me to turn my focus on top of the Buildstarmon instead of his security, but I would say I'm already facing such a liability in my security count. I do have to deal with it no matter what. I'm gonna actually evolve to the MaloMyotismon released in BO3, and this card does do quite a bit. In my opinion, my friend and I discussed that this card is best against Piltramon because, you know, Piltramon is just going to blindly swing 2 times, and with this card on the field, they are going to have to hesitate, I would say, which is what we want. It's going to hardcore the Labramon here, discarding 1, discarding the option of course, because against the Malotismon deck, the options don't really do too much. I do actually push out the Gabumon because I'm scared of dying to a random option, but in this case, it's going to be a misplay here because I do hit into a Happy Bullet Showering, which is of course can be dealt with if I do push out the Gabumon. I'm gonna hard play the Yukio to actually memory choke him because I do have already lethal on my turn, because once the MaloMyotismon comes out, I can deal that 1 last security and I'm gonna swing with the MaloMyotismon. But of course, he does have the same idea as the previous game, using Death Claw to kill off the Scatter Mode. Even though he was memory choked at 1, the power of the Death Claw being at 1 cost is just too good. And of course, with 2 level 4 on the field, you guys already know what's up. Chimeramon is coming down and he's going to go for the last swing, ending that game with the same scenario as the previous game. So that's unfortunate, and this will be game 2. Now this is the 3 Musketeer deck list that my friend has piloted, and it is really amazing. And this will be my MaloMyotismon deck list that I piloted at my locals. Thank you guys for watching till the end, and do consider subscribing, dropping a like and a comment if you guys do enjoy the content.